This is warm-up for our Reporter of the Day segment for week 8. And for this, we have Mr. Nichols. We're going to reverse days because I don't want to be the person. So Mr. Nichols is going to be for the defense, so that may not make sense as we do this because something may be said, but hopefully it'll be okay because defense examines in the takes, right? I'm not crazy. Yeah. So I didn't notice that. So Mr. Nichols for defense and Mr. Mohr for the plaintiff, and I am Mr. Mohr for the plaintiff.
I'm the witness.
I am the attorney for defense, Mr. Nichols. And it's Mr. Nichols questioning for the record. Is there anything about your assumptions of David that are summarized there on page 1 of Exhibit 7 that you think are inaccurate?
If I were to do this again, I would put the spatial in the upper 1/3 instead of the middle 1/3. I don't think that would make any substantive difference in your outcome. But looking at the CCE evaluation, again, he was at the 84th percentile for that. So he is actually higher than the middle 1/3.
Would that change the impact on the number of jobs that would be available to David?
I don't believe so. I don't believe so.
But as far as reaching and handling things with the modifications that you have made under aptitude, are you comfortable with the information as you have inputted it into this computer system?
Yes and no. It's as good as you can do because the Department of Labor does not define the lower 10% other than the lower 10%. That is clearly the category in which he falls. It would be nice to make a finer delineation than that, but it is not possible to do that.
Okay. Based upon the information that you put into the computer, how many jobs are available to David?
None.
What is all the rest of that material?
What you have for the first, let's see here, from page 1 to 40 are the jobs that the computer says he could have done prior to the dexterity limitations. And page 41 tells you that there are no matches for the post-injury output.
Excuse me, this again is based on the Department of Labor
Dictionary of Occupational Titles.
Are there any other job searches, if I can use that term, or other programs that you consulted in order to come up with some kind of an evaluation of David?
No, the only thing I would include in that in terms of using the Dictionary of Occupational Titles, I also used a companion volume, which is Classification of Jobs. These little sheets in front of me are a summary that tells you what percentage of the job titles require what worker traits.
Okay.
So, for example, on finger dexterity, if you only have finger dexterity in the bottom 10 percentile, there are only 0.79% overall job titles that require dexterity at that level.
Okay. After you completed this quest search, what is the next thing that you did?
That's it in terms of the vocational aspect.
Somewhere along the line, you concluded that he might be qualified as a computer-aided draftsman?
That is a question?
Yes. How did you come to that conclusion?
I object to that as misstating her testimony that he is qualified for that job.
Did you conclude that?
I didn't conclude that he is currently qualified for that job, no. I think it is very clear on the basis of his dexterity limitation. He is not able to do any regular manual output, nor on the basis of his IQ can he get a BA degree. So obviously, the higher educational level, usually the more cognitive your job and the less manually dependent it would be. An IQ at the 43rd percentile, that is not a realistic expectation for him.
You don't think he could be a lawyer at the 43rd percentile?
I don't think so. In terms of looking at possibilities, that I would suggest that he look at, computer-assisted drafting is one of the only ones that I can think of that corresponds with both his mechanical aptitudes and where there is not as much dependence on speed of dexterity, manual finger and manual dexterity. If I were to suggest an area that I thought was a possibility for him, that is the area that I would suggest.
Is that what you are saying? In half of the drafting positions that involve computers, they also require some manual drafting?
In today's labor market, that's true, yes.
Are there some jobs available that are completely mechanical in terms of drafting?
You mean completely computerized?
Yes, sorry.
Yes, there are.
So those jobs would be available to David if he were trained for the position?
Well, I don't know if I would go as far as saying available. They would be possible for him.
Why wouldn't they be available?
One, he has to be competitive for them, and I think he has a number of competitive disadvantages. One, he has no versatility as an employee. He will be able to do just that, and if the system breaks down and you got to get something out, he is not going to be your man for the job. Also, somebody has to be willing to hire him, and I think his disfigurement over and above the functional we are talking about will significantly negatively impact his employability.
Other than computer-aided drafting, have you considered any other employment possibilities for David?
You mean other than what she has already said with the 40 pages that she ran out on the computer?
They all said nothing. Bad question. You are absolutely right, Michael. Thank you very much.
You are welcome.
Are there any other available jobs for David, given his testing and the availability for training?
Not that I can think of. Again, as far as the parameters in my thinking, I'm looking only at sedentary, which is not saying he can't stand up, but predominantly he needs to sit for work. That and the dexterity levels and the level of academic or professional preparation of which I think he is capable.
What about answering telephones?
His clerical perception score on the testing was at the 16th percentile, which would tell me that he does not have an average aptitude for clerical or office work. Also, outside of an answering service, basically, most times no one is hired just to answer the phone. You also get to do a little bit of typing, and that usually requires a 35 word per minute speed.
You said he had a 16 percentile on the clerical skills?
Clerical, which is aptitude as opposed to a skill.
So what you are saying is he wouldn't be able to get a telephone job if that job also required typing skills or the like?
Correct.
Could he do filing?
Not with the bending that is usually involved in that, nor do I think he has the dexterity to handle papers or carry files with any kind of, efficiency.
Okay. Could he work at a service desk like parts or store, something like that?
Not with his appearance. I don't think anything that's public contact would ever be a viable option for him.
Because of his appearance?
Yes.
Okay.
A parts desk is also not necessarily a sedentary job. There is some variation in that. But I would say it is at least semi-sedentary in nature.
Given the fact that he told you that he could walk for 2 hours, do you think he is truly limited to sedentary?
Semi-sedentary implies the ability to stand or walk for 4 out of 8 hours in a workday. I don't believe he is capable of that.
I'm sorry, the printout on the Quest search, was that based on purely sedentary?
On the Quest, your options are either sedentary or light. Sedentary means basically sitting most of the time, but not exclusively sitting. And light means that there is no restriction on how much you stand or walk. Semi-sedentary is a term of art in the workers' comp system, but not with the Department of Labor.
Okay, so that ends our warm-up portion for the reporter of the day. All right, we are ready to begin our reporter of the day segment. So to identify or to announce our
Identity.
yeah, what do they call it? They say in court or something, they have a term for it.
Announce your appearances.
Announce appearance. That's the word I'm looking for. We will announce our appearance. Okay. So I am Mr. Mohr, attorney for the plaintiff. That's Moore.
I am the witness.
And I am Mr. Nichols for defense. Nichols.
All right, so I think we're ready to begin, which would be page 51, line 4.
Okay.
And we need to swear in the witness.
So when you raise your right hand, do you say under penalty of perjury that you will tell the whole the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay. You ready? And it's Mr. Nichols questioning for the record. Have you done any sort of market analysis for David in the computer-aided drafting field?
Specifically for him, no. Currently, I'm working on placement with 2 gentlemen who just completed a computer-assisted drafting program.
Where are you intending to place them? What part of the country?
Pleasanton, Livermore.
And what jobs have you found for them?
It is a horrible market right now.
Because of the economy?
Yeah,
And in search that you have done, have there been businesses that you have found that would not require manual drafting skills?
yes.
Okay.
At least some businesses that have positions that are dedicated to the use of the computer, even though the company may do half and half.
Okay. The problem is the economy is such that there are no openings available for these gentlemen.
That's right.
Okay. Tell me about the training that David is going to need to get from here to that job.
Depending on,
Just a second. Let me interrupt the answer and object. I object to get from here to there implies an assumption that he is going to get there, and that isn't part of her assumption. Just so we are clear on that.
Well, let's clear that up then. Is there any reason that David can't complete the training to become a computer-assisted draftsman?
That is a different question than the question you just asked.
Absolutely. I'm taking your objection to heart. Thank you for helping me, Michael.
No problem.
assuming the ability to attend and concentrate and apply himself, he should be able to develop those skills.
Do you know of any reason that he can't attend and concentrate and apply himself?
No, I have a worry, but it is in the nature of a worry. It would seem to me that he really does need some psychotherapeutic intervention. I assume if he got that, it would be effective and useful to him.
And you think that he would need to have psychotherapeutic counseling to go along with his quest for training for this job?
Yes.
And assuming he got appropriate therapy, then would there be any reason that he couldn't complete an effective training program for a computer-aided draftsman position?
He should be able to, yes.
All right. And how long will that take?
It depends on where he does it. If you do that curriculum through a community college, you would probably be looking at 2 academic terms for 18 months of actual training. If you do it through a private vocational program, half that amount of time.
And what is your understanding of the highest grade level he completed?
11th. I'm sorry, he didn't complete 11th. He discontinued school in the 11th grade.
Excuse me, Ms. Reporter, could you read back that answer, please?
Answer 11th. I'm sorry, he didn't complete 11th. He discontinued school in 11th grade.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Would he need to pick up his high school education before attending either a junior college or a private program?
For some programs, there is a requirement that somebody have a GED before embarking on their program, and for others, there is not.
What is your recommendation for David? Should he get his GED?
I don't think it matters. I do think one thing he has to do prior to that is improve his math. So he would need some focus in that area.
But if he was attending a vocationally oriented program at a junior college, he could pick up his math as he went.
That's correct.
That wouldn't lengthen the time of training, would it?
If he were in a community college, it would not lengthen it. If he were in a private vocational program, he would have to have math at their criteria level prior to embarking upon the program.
Which approach do you recommend?
Between the two,
Yes.
probably the private, just because it is more structured.
That time frame would be about 9 months plus whatever time it would take to get his math up.
Correct.
I'm sorry. Ms. Reporter, could you please read the previous question?
Question, that time frame would be about 9 months plus whatever time it would take to get him to get his math up.
Thank you.
Is there any reason that he wouldn't be able to begin one of those programs once he got his math skills to a certain level?
Other than finances, they are very pricey.
What level of math skills would he need before he could compete or complete or begin one of those courses?
You know, I'm not really sure, but I think around 8th to 10th grade.
And now he is about 4th grade?
Correct.
What is your estimate of the cost or time involved in getting his math skills up?
If he had individual tutorial work, and assuming no learning disability in the math area, I would say 3 to 4 months.
And
About 3 times a week of tutorial service.
how much would that cost?
About $20 an hour, 20 to 25.
Okay, so that ends our report of the day segment. So those of you using this as a warm-up or practice material, stop and read it back. Unpause. We're going to read a little more from this same material, so we're the same people. We're just keeping going. Go ahead.
Okay, for the record. That would be 3 hourly sessions per week for about 3 months.
3 to 4 months, yes.
Okay, that's step 1.
Correct.
Step 2 then is the private training facility.
Yes.
Give me some locations or names or something.
Silicon Valley College in Fremont.
Anything over here in the valley that you know of?
I'm sure that there is, none that I'm familiar with.
That would be a 9-month program
Yes.
at a cost of about what?
$8,500, I believe.
At the end of that program, assuming successful completion, does he get some kind of certificate?
Yes, he does.
What would that be?
It's a certificate of competency, basically. It's not a degree program of any kind. You can have competency in any one of 3 areas: architectural, electrical, or mechanical.
Okay, does that Silicon Valley Training Center have a placement service as a part of their?
They purport to.
Okay. We have locally here in Stockton, Woodruff Occupational Center. Are you familiar with that at all?
I know its name.
Do you have any idea as to whether or not they have a similar program?
I don't know if they offer this. One of the things is that the facility be offering the latest version of the software. Actually, the older versions are not as transferable as one might think. So I think in picking a program, I think that investigation is part of the primary one that needs to be done so that you know what is being taught is the state of the art.
Okay. Are there any other further steps for David to get to a computer-aided drafting career other than the 2 we have talked about?
Just a second. The 2 we talked about is taking the math and taking the course, right? The question is, does he need to do anything else to get a job?
Right.
Go ahead.
Well, I don't think that he needs to do anything else to develop the skill. That would accomplish the skill development, which is a separate question in my mind than his ability to secure employment.
I'm not talking about the success or failure of his placement. I'm talking about just getting the skill to do the job.
That would do it.
And after that, it's a matter of successfully placing him.
Correct.
And do you have an estimate as to whether you could successfully place him?
I don't know.
What would be the problems in placement other than his physical appearance?
She said no versatility, remember?
That's why I asked her for a list.
She gave you a list. Go ahead.
I think there are a number of problems. I think that his limitations in terms of his dexterity will preclude him from at least a part of the current labor market. So in terms of the overall number of jobs out there, he is not going to be competitive for 100% of them. Secondly, I think his appearance will negatively impact his job seeking. This is kind of related to both the totality of his physical limitations and that I think that despite our attempts to have it be otherwise, that there is a fair amount of discrimination on the basis of disability in the hiring practices.
Moving on to our warm-up for our takes. This is warm-up from the same take material. We have Mr. Carlson's for defense, who is examining, and Mr. Feder for the plaintiff. I am Mr. Feder.
I am the witness.
I am attorney for defense, Mr. Carlson's. And it's Mr. Carlson's for the record. Have you owned any other cars since the accident other than the Mercedes and the El Camino pickup truck, owned or leased?
You mean business car?
Yes, business car. Any car that you have available.
1987 Dodge and 1988 Dodge.
Dodge what? G, you were saying?
Dodge, D-O-D-G-E.
Are those passenger cars or vans or what?
Vans.
Vans. Any other cars?
That is all.
Have you had any accidents since 1993, January?
No.
You mean 92?
I am sorry. Let me ask the question again so it's clear. Since January 13, 1992, have you been involved in any other type of accident or incident which has resulted in any type of injury to you?
No.
Now, you describe the problems that you had with urination and some muscle control with the bowels and the numbness and some sensation on the left side of your umbilical line. Is there any other residual or remains of your injury that you suffer from today?
Yes, pain on the right knee, may need operation.
What is the problem with the right knee that may require surgery?
Torn ligament.
Who is the doctor that is treating the knee problem?
I usually see Dr. Stone. He is from Rehabilitation Center.
In Mills?
Yes.
How about with respect to the bowel problem? Who is treating that?
Dr. Stone, mostly Dr. Stone. Oh, and I forgot to say I have a urine urging too.
Urine what?
Urgent feeling, which means when you feel like to go, you have to go right away. Otherwise you lose.
So you have
They call this hyperactivity.
Neurogenic bladder.
with respect to your medical visits, I think you mentioned that you have a doctor's appointment tomorrow. Is that correct?
Dr. Hessel.
Okay. You are going to see him again?
Yes.
Is he giving you any sort of treatment for you at the present time?
You mean the medicine?
I mean, giving you some source of treatment presently that you are undergoing.
Medication and self-catheter twice a day.
Self-catheter?
Yes, I cath myself twice a day and I am taking medication.
What medication are you taking?
One for infection and one for muscle tone. It's called probanthine and the other one is macrodanthine.
Okay.
Or sometimes I take the gantricin instead of microdantine.
That is the yellow and white capsule.
Yes.
Now, with respect to any other problems that you have you listed all the problems that you continuously still have that you relate to the accident?
Well, I have pain in my left groin and generally back pain, aching and those things after surgery.
You mean after surgery you had back pain?
Yes, I still have back pain.
And this back pain that you have, is anybody treating that?
I think I have to take a break.
All right, let's take a break.
Are there any other residuals other than back pain now that you have indicated that you have in addition to the ones you have described?
I can't run.
Have you tried running?
Yes.
What is it that prevents you from running?
No energy in my leg. There isn't much strength.
You are just lacking general stamina?
Just my leg doesn't have enough, muscle doesn't have enough strength to run.
Any other residual?
General weakness.
Do you eat regularly?
Yes.
And do you eat any special diet, or do you eat the regular food your family eats?
Yes.
Yes, what? Do you?
Yes, I am taking special diet.
What is your special diet?
Vegetable juice.
Is that all you eat?
Beside rice.
Okay. I mean, I take it all of your family eats rice. Is that correct?
Yes.
Which type of juice is it you need?
Vegetable juice.
Vegetable juice?
Yes.
Other than vegetable juice and rice, do you eat anything else?
No.
Is that all you live on?
Right.
Do you eat any meat at all?
Oh, those things, yes.
All right. Do you eat, foods other than just rice and vegetable juice?
Yes.
Now, do you have any restrictions on medical treatment or care because of any religious beliefs?
No.
You have not had any surgery performed or avoided surgery because of some religious belief. Is that correct?
No.
Have you seen any type of psychiatrist or psychologist for purposes of any mental difficulties arising out of the accident?
Yes.
And who is it that you have seen in that regard?
Dr. Forensby, Forinsbee.
Where does he have his office? Where does she have her office?
San Mateo.
What is she? What is her specialty?
I don't know. Isn't it the same as a psychologist?
Is it a psychologist or psychiatrist or therapist or what?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay. What is it that you go see her for?
When I was in the Mills Hospital, I was so depressed, and Dr. Stone recommended me to see Dr. Forensby.
How frequently have you been seeing her?
I don't know.
When is the last time you saw her?
September 28, 1992.
What is your current marital relationship with your husband?
Marriage.
Have your marital problems that you had in January and December of 1991 and January of 1992, have those been resolved?
Yes.
So is your marriage actually better today than it was back then?
Yes.
Did you ever see a marriage counselor?
No.
Now, with respect to this lawsuit, when is the first time you actually had contact with an attorney in the case?
I didn't contact.
When did you first know that you had any sort of lawyer working on your case?
I don't know.
Were you still in the hospital?
Yes.
And was it your husband then who actually arranged for the attorney?
I am going to object to any further questions. It's violation of the attorney-client privilege.
I am just asking about when an attorney was contacted, not any subject of any communication with counsel.
What is the question?
The question simply,
The question simply was, did your husband make the arrangements regarding obtaining a counsel?
Yes.
Well, there is just no way I am going to finish today. We have got all the service records here still, plus a number of gaps still in the prior examination and in view of the hour, and I think we have put in a rather complete day. We will just have to continue it to the next available convenient time. I understand the witness isn't available tomorrow, I guess, so we will have to arrange some mutually agreeable date in the future to do that, and hopefully we will shorten it as we cover these documents with the husband.
off the record.
For the record, the deposition of Mrs. Doe will be continued to some future convenient date, and we will continue tomorrow with the deposition of Mr. Doe. The exhibits that were marked here will be attached in part of the record of Mrs. Doe, but also I anticipate to be using them tomorrow with Mr. Doe. So I do trust we have the originals present for that as well.
That is fine.
Okay, so
This is,
it starts, but, oh, this one isn't read on mine.
that's okay.
Mine isn't either, but that's
It's
where we
okay.
start.
Well,
Right?
our final warm-up will be at 170.
Okay, and who is that?
That's you.
Is this still Carlson?
Yeah.
Okay. And it's Mr. Carlson's questioning for the record. And, sorry, what speed did you say?
2 and 14.
I'm sorry,
2 and 14.
you're putting it off on me now, the bad. I just
Sorry.
forgot. That's
2 and
okay.
14, that's 170.
Okay. Did you ever discover what had caused your tire to become flat that first time?
Repeat again.
Did you ever find out why your tire had gone flat while you were driving in the San Jose area?
That time, my sister was next to me. I don't know why.
Let me hear the question again. I am not sure we got an answer to it.
After the gas station, they did something.
The question is, did you ever find out why your tire had gone flat?
I don't know the reason.
You say your sister was with you on that occasion.
Yes.
What is your sister's name?
Sonia Chong.
Where does she live?
Hayward.
Do you have an address for her?
4099 Malibu Street, Hayward.
Thank you. Now, after you experienced the time of this accident, which is the subject of this lawsuit, the car pulling in some manner to the right, what is the next thing you recall happening?
All I remember was I was rolling outside of the car.
Do you know how you got out of the car?
I don't know.
Did you see Danny at all while the car was rolling?
No, I didn't see.
Did Kathy remain inside the car?
Well, I didn't know that, but Kathy told me that she was inside.
Now, did you remain conscious the whole time after the accident?
On and off.
Do you recall rolling on the ground?
I don't know where, but I know definitely that I was rolling.
In other words, you don't know whether it was on the ground or inside the car. Is that correct?
Right?
Do you recall hitting anything inside the car as you were rolling?
I don't know.
When you stopped rolling, where were you at that time?
I didn't know whether we were stopped after rolling. I didn't even realize whether he was stopped or what.
Did you at some point in time realize that you had stopped rolling?
No.
While you were actually out at the scene, did you ever see the car after it had rolled?
No, I didn't.
Do you know where you were in relation to the car?
No, that is why I would like to see the picture.
Okay. Apart from any pictures, I want to know what is in your mind and not what you see in pictures. Did you see anyone else at the accident scene, Danny or Kathy or anyone else who had been in the car?
No, I didn't see.
Do you recall at all actually lying out on the ground at the scene?
Yes.
How were you actually lying on the ground?
I think I was straight because the sun was above my face. Straight.
Are you saying that you were on your back?
Yes.
Did you know yourself as you were lying there that you were injured?
No, I did not.
And what did you do after the accident happened? What was the next thing you recall doing?
I couldn't move myself.
Did anyone come to help?
The ambulance came.
Did anyone come before the ambulance arrived?
I don't know, but I heard so much noises.
Did you hear anyone yelling to you at all after the accident?
No,
So in terms of what you saw or heard, what did you hear?
I don't know. I can't remember.
Okay.